As we keep on rolling through March, more conference tournaments have begun. Yesterday, not my best day on the sportsbook, I won't lie. I went 0-3 on the picks I gave here on my full card, which is on my Twitter, or you can follow me on Betstamp. I had an even day. I pushed even. College baseball and a live bet on Alabama saved me yesterday. Trust me. I bet Alabama when they were down, I believe, 12. Saved my entire day. Welcome back to the Sports Raid as we continue to go live every day to preview college basketball as March Madness is just around the corner. It is so close. We are just about a week and a half away from revealing the bracket. Yesterday was an interesting week. Yesterday was an interesting day. Talk about the bubble a little bit. We'll start off. Really, there was only one game that really impacted the bubble a ton, and that was Alabama-Auburn. Auburn is now completely on the bubble, in my opinion. Auburn is on the bubble. They're in danger of missing the tournament. Not in serious danger of missing the tournament, but if they don't have a win against Tennessee and they would get upset in the SEC tournament, I could see Alabama missing March Madness completely. It's going to be a dangerous thing for them at this point. Or not Alabama, Auburn. I'm sorry, Auburn. Auburn missing March Madness completely. They really struggled down the stretch yesterday. They really struggled to find a way to get the ball in the basket. The transition offense and the fast-paced offense of Alabama really ripped that Auburn defense apart yesterday. It wasn't even Brandon Miller. It was all the other freshmen on that Alabama team that really caused trouble for Auburn's defense. And Auburn, I'll give it to them. They played their heart out. They really gave them some trouble, but they just didn't get the job done last night. They just did not get the job done last night after being up 17 in a toxic or not toxic, in a hostile environment, up 17. That type of stuff cannot happen. It was unfortunate to see, but Alabama waited for everybody else to step up other than Brandon Miller. They did not force Brandon Miller to carry them through that game. I really like their play from everybody. And, Alabama are under a lot of pressure right now with the whole Brandon Miller situation. But between Noah Clowney's performance, especially down the stretch, he was really finding ways to get to the basket. He was getting to the foul line, which is huge for them when Brandon Miller's not having his best game. That was one of Brandon Miller's worst games of the season. I was overall impressed. Same thing with Mark Sears, another guy, another freshman guard, or he's a junior guard, I'm sorry. Another, just somebody else who stepped up, though. Alabama down the stretch, they're going to need other guys to step up. They can't rely solely on Brandon Miller, especially with, I know he's in the clear for now, but you never know what can happen with this situation. So to see other guys step up for Alabama is big. Auburn, they were in my first four buys. They are now on my last four in after that loss yesterday, just because of it's so tight. And I think it's going to come down to the wire on who gets in my opinion. I think Auburn will still find a way in. They just have to beat Tennessee or win an SEC tournament game, in my opinion, to still get into the tournament. Just no bad losses, but one bad loss now, and we could be seeing the end of Auburn's season, which is very, very unfortunate. But let's switch over now. Let's look at the Missouri Valley Conference. Kicks off their tournament today. This is a conference I actually have some high hopes for. So right here, we'll post. Here's my look at my winner. I have Bradley. Bradley's offense is so good. It is next level. Currently, they have the 129th ranked offense. But what's even better than their offense is their defense. They have the 37th best defense in the entire country via KenPom. With guys like Rike Mast and Malvi Leons, this team is going to be scary. They shoot the three well, they take care of the basketball, and they play great defense. The thing that's most impressive to me is they do not allow a lot of shots. And when they are, they're tough shots. Opponents have the lowest field goal percentage against them in the entire conference. The defense has really stepped up for them the last few weeks. Drake was pretty much the clear-cut winner of this for a while. But in my opinion, this is a two-horse race. Bradley or Drake, I think one of those two teams will be the winner. I know that, we're not talking about people here, I'm talking about schools. But one of those two will be the winner of the conference. Drake's a scary team, though. Drake is definitely a scary team. They're another team who's very good defensively. They're 56 overall in KenPom. Tucker DeVeers, sorry. Excuse me. I don't know what's going on. I feel like I have phlegm in my throat or something today. But between Tucker DeVeers and Roman Penn, this team is going to be cause Bradley a lot of trouble. I really hope we see that matchup in the conference championship. But I don't think it's fair to call Drake a dark horse. I don't think it would be fair to call Drake a dark horse. And that's why I said Indiana State. Indiana State's the one team who I think has the ability to take down these guys. They might have to run into two of them. But they're another team who, on both sides of the ball, top 115. They're in the green on both KenPom on offense and defense. They hit a lot of big time shots, like effective shots. There's an effective field goal percentage. The KenPom, they are currently 13th in the entire country in effective field goal, which is huge when you want to take down, when you want to pull off upsets, you want to go on. You have to hit shots. You have to hit the shots at the right time. They gave Drake some trouble the first time, only losing by 2 at Drake. They lost to Bradley by 11 at home. And I don't believe they faced off against either of them again. Yes, they only faced those two teams twice, so they gave them some trouble. So that's where the dark horse comes in for me. They also have one of the best field goal percentages in the entire country, and I believe the best field goal percentage in the entire conference, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, the best field goal percentage in the entire conference. So if they're able to get quality shots up at the right time, I think that they will be able to take down Bradley and or Drake. Bradley's also experienced. Their two best players are a senior and junior, and experience is a huge factor. That's part of the reason I know Drake has the best player in Tucker DeVries in the entire conference, but he's a sophomore. Lack of experience, it matters. Also, Bradley, the one thing that concerns me is their tempo. They kind of are a little slow with the ball compared to the rest of the teams in the conference. That could cause some trouble. High tempo can really cause some teams trouble. So Bradley gets stuck in some high tempo situations. That's where I think that their weakness is going to be. Can you force Bradley to be uncomfortable? Can you force Bradley to rush their shots? Because if you do, you might cause some trouble for him. But the thing is, defensively, they are very good at controlling the tempo. That's where I think that kind of cancels out. Excuse me. They're not going to control the tempo via offense. They're going to control the tempo via their defense. But for Indiana State, once again, we'll go back to them. Kind of all over the place here right now. Where I think the issue with them is, yes, they get to the free throw line. Yes, they convert at the highest rate. They don't get a lot of offensive rebounds. They don't get the second chance points. And that's why I don't think they're going to be able to win this conference. But if they're able just to hit their shots and not need those second chance points, that's where I think the dark horse comes in. So I think between those three to win it, I mean, I guess I could see a team. What other teams could I see winning it? I mean, Belmont, maybe. They've kind of been the third best team in the conference. They're pretty solid on both sides of the ball. Middle of the pack. They get a lot of blocks, but it just doesn't seem like there's going to be enough for somebody else to win this conference. I think it's clear-cut going to be Bradley or Drake, but do not sleep on Indiana State. I think they can cause a lot of trouble come this conference tournament, which kicks off tonight. Now let's switch over to the WCC. And I love this conference tournament bracket. I love the way this sets up. The 1 and 2 gets triple byes. It's kind of like a gauntlet. And the reason I like the gauntlet setup for the WCC much is because for conferences, a lot of times only get one bid. I know the WCC, they often get 1 or 2 or maybe even 3. They could get up to 3 this year. But I like it a lot for teams like for conferences like that. And I wish more mid-major conferences would adopt it because when you only guaranteed to get one team, when you're not like the ACC, you're not like the SEC or the Big 12 or the Big 10, it is going to be very important to get your best team in, your most talented team or teams in. So I think this triple bye, this gauntlet kind of setup where the 7 plays a 10, 8 plays a 9, then they play the 5 and 6, and they play the 3 and 4, then the 1 and 2. I really think this helps these conferences get better talent in their tournaments, and it helps them. And the WC blows my mind every year, but it is such a cool stuff, and I really like it. And I wish more conferences would adapt to it and start to use it, because it really allows you to get your more talented teams in. And now, even if Gonzaga does get upset or something, the likelihood of them losing, if you have a team that, if they do, even if they don't win their conference, they could still get in. Now they're not going to have a bad loss on the resume because they're going to lose to a team that may win their conference. Now, if Gonzaga, say, Loyola Marymount goes on a run, or Pepperdine goes on a run, or Portland goes on a run per se. We'll say Portland. Say Portland goes on a run, or they're playing St. Mary. We'll go San Francisco. Say they go on a run and then they beat Pacific, then they beat Santa Clara, and then they beat Gonzaga. If they would win the conference tournament, it kind of diminishes the damage that loss can do. So the WCC's bracket is an idea I wish all conferences would adopt more, especially the smaller ones. Maybe not the ACC and stuff. You want to have it more competitive. But for these conferences, you want to have your best foot forward. You want to put your best teams in and put them in the best position to get a high enough seed. But now let's switch over to my predictions. I think Gonzaga is going to win this tournament. I know they lost to St. Mary's. I know St. Mary's is technically the one, but let's be real. Let's be really real about this for a second. Excuse me. Let's be really real about this for a second. Gonzaga's been the best team in the conference. They lost on the road in an environment where they completely crumbled down the stretch in the second half to St. Mary's. That is the only reason why they lost to St. Mary's. That's the only reason why they actually lost to St. Mary's. But they bounced back, and we saw it on Saturday night. I watched that entire game. They dominated that game from start to finish. Yes, St. Mary's won on their runs, but that's how basketball works. It's a game of runs. They've dominated that game from the word go. So it was really nice to see them be able to bounce back. I think Gonzaga is the best in the conference, best offensive team in the conference by a landslide, by multiple factors you look at, whether you look at field goal percentage, whether you look at shots taken, tempo, turnover rate. That's what makes me like Gonzaga, and that's what makes me think that they are going to be a scary team come March, is because unlike past years, they really don't turn the ball over this year. And I'm not a huge Drew Timme fan, but the guy can play basketball. The guy is a very, very good player, especially on offense. He might have some defensive struggles at times, but he is very, very good on offense. What gives me hope for St. Mary's, what they're going to need to do is their defense is going to have to come into full effect. They're the best defensive team in the conference. They don't allow a lot of shots to be taken. And once again, when they do, it is tough shots. And that's what wins games in March. Forcing teams that are going to get shots off is making them take tough shots, make them take contested shots. Don't let them just get straight to the basket. And St. Mary's plays very, very good defense. And St. Mary's hits a lot of threes too. St. Mary's is a very, very good three-point shooting team. So overall, Gonzaga is my favorite to win. But once again, I don't think it's fair to call St. Mary's a dark horse to win the conference. So my dark horse to win the conference, it's Loyola Marymount for one reason only. They have shown that they can beat both Gonzaga and St. Mary's. They have the blueprint. They have the formula. They know what they need to do. What they did is they went on the runs and they took advantage, and their offense got hot. They have a very, very good offense. And you know what? I know they just got murdered to Gonzaga by 43, but they beat Gonzaga at Gonzaga. Then they took St. Mary's and beat them. I know it was at home. But they still beat St. Mary's. And they hung around with them the first time for a while. So don't sleep on Loyola Marymount. We could see the WCC get 3 conference bids if Loyola Marymount is able to find a way to win this tournament. But overall, I think we're destined for a round 3 between St. Mary's and Gonzaga. And that's what I'm actually hoping for, because I want to see the 2 best teams. I'm not the guy. I love Cinderellas in March Madness. But for the conference tournaments, I want to see the best teams in. I want to see the most talented teams in the tournament, because that's what's going to produce the most upsets, especially from these smaller conferences. So overall, I want to see St. Mary's versus Gonzaga, but Loyola Marymount is my dark horse to win the entire WCC conference. And now let's switch over to what my plays of the day are. I only have 2 for you. I only have 2 plays today. We'll start off going Arizona money line. And I know a lot of people, I already see it. Oh, it's a trap line. It's a trap line. It's not. It's not. We are in March now. The best teams win. The better teams, the teams that are more prepared, the teams that are more talented, find a way to prevail in the end. This offense, especially led by Tublies of Arizona, is scary. And they're one of my favorites to win the entire tournament. And they just lost to Arizona State on a buzzer beater. I think they bounced back tonight on the road, and they beat USC. And I think they beat USC a lot more comfortably than people think. And they have a matchup with UCLA on Saturday to win the entire regular season Pac-12. But if Arizona's defense can step up a little bit more down the stretch this season, I think they will be a very, very big threat to win the whole thing come March. But for tonight, give me Arizona on the money line. And now my play of the day. My favorite play today is going to be Lehigh on the money line. I saw this team play Lafayette a few weeks ago. They are much better than Lafayette. And I know I see a lot of people, very popular upset pick in their conference tournament picks. But I don't know if people know this. Lafayette does not have their head coach. His first year, Mike Jordan not Michael Jordan, like the NBA player. No, he is on administrative leave for, I don't know exactly, it was some incident in a practice or the way he was handling somebody on the team. He's on administrative leave. They don't have their head coach. They're not more talented than Lehigh by any stretch. They play very good defense, but I think Lehigh's offense is good enough. You know how high I am on Lehigh, and I think they can win their entire conference. I think that starts today, and I think they take down Lafayette. And I think it's going to be pretty dominant fashion. I wish I could go to the game tonight, but I got my own basketball game I have to commentate tonight, so I will not be at the game. But Lafayette is I do not see Lafayette giving Lehigh much trouble tonight, and I think Lehigh is able to dominate this game and pull out the win. So tomorrow I'm going to release my top 4 seeds in each, all my top 4 seeds, 1 through 4 in each region of the bracket as of now projected. And I believe I will do it probably Monday. I will have an entire March Madness laid out, my entire bracketology. And then on what it will be, Selection Sunday, that morning, I will release my entire full prediction on what the bracket will look like. A lot of key games this weekend. North Carolina Duke's a huge game. North Carolina Duke is a huge game. I'll talk more about that on Saturday. But for North Carolina, their backs against the wall. They're able to pull it out again. Mississippi State, they can't afford any tough losses. Michigan tonight, I believe they play Maryland. Let me double check on exactly who they play. I was looking at it a little bit. It's a game I want to stay away from a betting angle, but I do like Michigan. I think Michigan actually is going to find a way to make the NCAA tournament. Michigan's a very, very good team, guys. I don't think people realize how talented this team is. This is why we see a lot of these smaller seeds, these blue blood schools, find a way when it comes to March because of how much talent they have. And talent prevails in March. In the end, talent will prevail. But I know there's an upset here and there, and it's going to happen because there's 64-team tournament. You're going to see these crazy upsets, and maybe you'll see a Cinderella run at 1 or 2. But in the end, the more talented teams prevail. Struggling in in October, November, December, and January doesn't mean you're going to struggle in late February, early March. And that's why you're seeing teams like North Carolina hit their stride a little bit. That's why Michigan's hitting their stride a little bit, because these teams are loaded with talent, especially at the big man position. I think these big man's positions get underrated a lot. I think they get underrated and underappreciated, and I really like, especially with Michigan and North Carolina, what they can do with their big men. And that's why I think one of those teams, I said it, one of those teams is going to make the Sweet 16. That's why I also said the other day, and I got clowned a little bit for it. I said we're going to see North Carolina, Duke, or Kentucky. One of the 4 is going to make the Final Four because at the end of the day, coaching and talent prevails. And these teams are loaded with talent. These teams are loaded with quality coaching. Blue Bloods will be Blue Bloods at the end of the day. There's no 2 ways to look around it. Michigan plays, and I still can't find it. Michigan, who do you play tonight? Michigan, give me something, man. All right, we'll look it up. Who do they play? Illinois. That's right. They play Illinois. This is a big game for both teams, too, because I know a lot of people think Illinois is a lock, but for me, Illinois is starting to trend towards the direction of potentially missing the entire tournament. They have struggled as of late. They have really struggled the last few games. I mean, let's take a look at what they've done the last few games. They're coming off of a loss against Ohio State. They snuck out a win against Northwestern, but a loss to Indiana, a loss to Penn State, which is a Penn State team that every time I think Penn State basketball is dead, they find a way to revive themselves, and they did it once again last night with the win over Northwestern. But Illinois, they're probably going to make it. I'm not saying they're not going to make it. I'm not saying they're on the bubble yet, but they got to watch out. If they don't find a way to get a win down the stretch, nice win against Michigan or Purdue down the stretch, and they get bounced early in the NCAA tournament, you can make a case on why a 19-13 Illinois team that doesn't have a conference tournament win can miss the tournament. These teams, I know Illinois has been a solid 6 seed, solid 6, 7, 8 seed for the last few weeks, but let's be honest, you start to trend down once you start losing games late in the season. There's a little bit of a recency bias. There's a little bit of a recency bias when it comes to the committee. We've seen it all the time. We see it all the time with seeding. The recency bias can be in a full effect. So Illinois got to watch out. Illinois got to watch out and take care of business tight against Michigan. I do think Michigan wins tonight, though. I do think Michigan wins tonight. From a betting angle, I'm staying away from it. But from an overall prediction angle, I think the Wolverines are going to be able to pull off the win tonight. I really like their position. I really liked what they've done the last few weeks. A great win against Wisconsin the other night. Way Hunter Dickinson performed down the stretch. That's the thing. Hunter Dickinson, he can compete with any big man in the country. I know he got locked up by Armando Bacot. I know Zach Edey feasted on him. But he's still a very, very, very solid big man. And the thing is, he has a very nice touch from deep. And that's what makes me like him much more than a lot of other big men. That's what makes me – he's more versatile than Armando Bacot. He's more versatile than Zach Edey because you can put him on the perimeter, and that's what makes him dangerous. But overall, I really like the position for Michigan going down the stretch. And I do think that they're going to be able to make some more noise come March. But overall, thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of the Sports Radio College Basketball Edition. We'll be back once again tomorrow, 10 a.m. every morning, 10 a.m. right here. We are going to have all got a complete hater now. We're going to have all college basketball content, all college basketball coverage. Anything you want me to talk about, just leave a comment. Let me know. You want to join a TikTok live? You want me to bring up a topic? Comment, and we can talk about it. All right, interact a little bit here. But overall, thank you guys for tuning in, and I